everyone does it with team play and therefore gets away with it. And you can hardly really call it stupid if it works, right?
It kind of feels like it's a slow... It's like this is a battle royale, and outsiders are the circle. And Rogue have got to try and find a way of getting out of that circle as it closes in. Now, knowing how Rogue have played, they ain't exactly the dullest blade in the shop at this point. I was about to call you Tim, but then I've realised, no, it's definitely Jack or Fresh. I've got to make sure that sticks in my head today. The point being for me, the word I've always applied to Rogue is pressure. Like, whether you're on attack or defense against them, you are going to be in for a world of hurt because they are just so prolific at being aggressive as a collective. And I'm wondering if outsiders are going to get caught asleep at the wheel here. But we've had 2 bands come through already fresh here. We've seen the Maverick, we've seen the Finker, and now the Valkyrie also joins them.
Yeah, pretty standard so far. Outsiders, they get rid of that Maverick on this map. It's not a surprise to see, just disables the breaching a little bit more. Tristan, their analyst for Rogue, actually thought the outsiders might ban away the alibi just to target onto Leon Gids, but they won't. They'll go away with the Cade. Finker and Valk, I think this is the new... more or less, with the exception of Alibi. You're talking 3 of the 4 default bans here, because Finker is so strong. So you're expecting teams that if Finker's so strong, take it away. Don't worry about playing with it, don't worry about playing against it, and that's exactly what Rogue have done.
Well, outside of starting on the defensive side and looking back outside on the attacking side and looking back over what they played a lot last time, and Carly, sorry, it's on the defense. I'm an idiot. Ignore me. They played a lot of things like the Pulse. They had things like the Thunderbird coming along. They played quite a bit of Bandit as well. So we'll see if that comes out throughout this half, at least here in this first round. That's absolutely not the case, as we are starting out in Karaoke and T. And just like the last time they played, we are seeing that Warden on side.
Yeah, absolutely. They will... I think Karaoke T is probably the best site for defenses to start out on. Normally you'll start out on Karaoke T, extend horizontally across to the east, and the idea is with the defense is that you give yourself layers. You start out in the office side, you fall back to kind of the terrace, dragon, shrine side, you've got the shields and the utility for that, and then fall back into sight. Eventually, your aim being to waste as much time away from the attackers as absolutely possible. You seal wide, there's those shields, the Aruna gates, all the redundancy set up from outsiders. Now, when outsiders went up against Secret, they set this up and they added a sprinkling of early aggression, jump outs, run outs, that kind of thing. So Rogue have to be aware that this might be coming. If they've watched the VOD, which is the desk speculated is one of the reasons we came here, then they will know that outsiders love that early aggression.
Equally, you have quite a lot to look back at against Rogue as well. This is a map they played a couple of times, and looking back to that game against BDS as an example, early last stage, they played it again a little bit later on. It's where we really saw Deepak start to shine, and operators like Twitch just being willing to grab the ball by the horns and run the round through to take key locations to start pushing Rogue towards a victory. In this round, he's playing on the Ossa, and we know Ossa only really comes in one spot on this site. He'll be coming in through that Shrine Bout, working his way to top black, and then looking at how they can get a plant down.
One of the most effective ways to completely avoid all that redundancy of the kind of east to west defense and the layers of it is to avoid it altogether. Go in underneath, look for those vertical nades up through the floor, which is what we've seen Spoit do. We saw Crine do it previously in the last stage. From the Rogue players, use the drones particularly, and then transition to a take where you're walking up the back stairs along with the Ossa going into that top main, cut the site in half, and then look for a plant. Rogue have done this kind of step the first minute so far so well.
They have, and I've got to pause you for a second there as well, because I see him crying on the downstairs. He is a demon on this map. It doesn't matter what op he's playing, whether it's a Sledge, whether it's a Nook, whether it's something like a Goyo, the explosive master on Skyscraper is only the best way to describe him. He loves playing from below. And the thing is, the amount of damage they've got, you've got Kanto doing it, Crying doing it, Spoit doing it. It's like you've got to survive an artillery barrage before you even get to start playing Siege, and at least so far, outsiders have survived that, although no doubt have lost some utility. I say that as Milan falls first, it's Leon stepping up with the entry.
Yeah, absolutely sensational stuff. Once he's done, he's breached all the walls. He's made it so hard for literally any outsiders players to play absolutely anywhere. Crucially, Deepak's got the diffuser, which means he's now going to use the Ossa to walk and try and get himself in through that rotate on the back. Like, the only downside here for Rogue is that there isn't actually a rotate. They're going to have to manufacture one, but they've got 50 seconds currently, and they've got absolutely everything they need to set up for an execute right now.
Speaking of the execute, yeah, smokes are coming out. Another Osh beyond reposition, but Deepak almost losing out to his feet. Oh, the smoke behind him. He's on literally a single HP, but keeps himself alive. Leon re-maneuvering himself off towards the office balcony here. Kanto steps his way up, but Smash is ready for him on the step up. Now in comes Spoit, their hidden weapon that we've seen strike so many times this stage, but it's Leon who's going absolutely huge. In through Geisha he goes. Down goes the plant from Deepek as FMX trades at least one back. But Spoit's still there behind the shield. There's nothing they can do. It's a 3 versus 1 as FMX, with the 2 kills that Outsiders have found in this round to his name, has got to hold off 3.
Yeah, it's absolutely sensational stuff from Rogue. The realization that as the execute comes in, the defenders are going to be running around like headless chickens. Kanto pushing up the back stairs, Leon holding onto the window, another player going into Geisha as well, just adds to that chaos, and that's where Rogue thrive, because they can walk themselves into sight. As you saw them, they did walk themselves into sight, get the plant down. They really set themselves up for that take, that path of least resistance take, and they do it together. The one thing that I love about Rogue is their coordination there of the 3-2-1 go. And even when they went, it was like, we have been spoke, we need to pause this, we need to pause this. Every Rogue player had the discipline, and then they went again. Crystal clear communication, they created that chaos, and then they absolutely capitalized on that chaos.
I felt nervous for a little bit because Kanto came springing his way at red, and I thought, okay, maybe he's a little bit ahead of time here because the smokes are slowing the rest of them down, but I feel by the time that they dealt with Kanto and turned their attention elsewhere, there was already too much control being taken by Rogue. And I loved seeing Leon as well working down towards office. It's because they were always going to be here that what I call phantom pressure on open windows or doorways, right? You don't know if someone's still on the other side of that. You suspect they might be, so you play assuming someone is there, only for them to appear on a window at the whole south side of the building. So it was just a really well orchestrated attack, as you say. It's what we're used to seeing coming out of Rogue. Now they've got to try and do exactly the same thing here coming onto the other side. It's Exhibition and Office in round 2 fresh.
Yeah, and obviously with the Maverick and the Thinker being off the board, that enables the Thatcher. And what the Thatcher enables is quick and effective breaches of the Office, which is why you might not actually see it played a whole lot today as a primary or even a secondary site. Obviously, Outsiders have chose to go in here after the primary site's been beaten. But the 2 walls can be opened relatively easily from Rogue here with the combination of the Vertnade from Spoit and also the Thatcher. So if that wall's getting open and the single wall towards Office, it's going to be very hard for anybody inside of Outsiders, lovely, what a term, to actually go and play inside a site. It's going to be really difficult for them because it's clear that Rogue, they're going for direct attacks rather than going through these layers. As Leon, he's opened the first wall and the second wall's about to be opened, utilising that Thatcher Thermite combination. And that's obviously why we see Thatcher banned way so, like, too much, but it's just so easy to open the 2 walls on this site, especially when a Thatcher's on the board.
You're seeing the same stuff again, by the way, where they've got the 2 nade players playing downstairs and Spoit and Crine looking to do damage from below whilst the rest get focused on the wall. Pasha almost losing his life out there as well, down to about 5 HP as the breach was opened up, but just about gets away with it. Again, nades now starting to turn skywards. Crine, I think that was a little bit of a self-nade, buddy. Not quite Doki self-nade style, but a self-nade regardless.
It's not the end of the world. Spoit again is going to look for another one. Pasha's really fortunate to get away with his lives, and as much as Rogue have been great, they've not been amazing at these up nades or vert nades or depth charge or whatever we want to call them, but it doesn't matter to an extent. It's just those free kills that you can get by utilising them. Leon and the rest of the gang are going to establish themselves outside of both breaches, and really this is where it starts feeling very claustrophobic for the side of Outsiders. 4 of them, they're completely outside of sight. Sight's completely clear, near enough for Rogue to go in here.
That's what I keep on saying. Pressure is the word that I just think of when I think of Rogue, and they're starting to mount it up now. Candela coming in. It's like a true SWAT operation at this point. Milan dropping on the shades here, blocking out the sun, blocking out the guns potentially, but no one challenging. So what's this little bit of focus coming in from Kanto? You can see Spoit starting to make a move on the downstairs. This is just a distraction force at this point, fresh, while the rest of them start gearing up for what could be an execute elsewhere around the map.
And this was a frequent tactic for Rogue, was to throw Candelas in and just create false pressure whilst the rest of the push is coming in from completely the other side, and the 4 players from the other side are going for the execute. Kanto's going to walk in and find 1 using the Ying, find 2, the Warden's not covering, won't get the Fed, will be traded out by Pasha.
But that long range is there as well. Deepet brings it back, and Spoit a second amidst the chaos. It's another 3-round victory, or 3 remaining for the side of Rogue there to close it out. And at this point, Fresh, you're just living in their world, right? They're getting set up for an execute. They're attacking you when they're ready, and the defenders are just kind of having to sit there and take it when Rogue choose.
It really is, and that's the pressure that Rogue create. And like you say, that buzzword, that keyword is pressure, but Rogue have been so good at creating it. The 2 breaches being very disciplined. And it's not a word that gets associated with Rogue a lot of the time, is the discipline, but the discipline they've operated with in the first 2 rounds, obviously even in that second round there, 2 breaches, it's very easy to want to push the breach and push the site first, but then they realise that they have to go underneath, get those vertical nades, establish basically that site's clear, then they can start working the execute. And you saw even as Kanto goes in, gets a double kill, does get traded out, creates complete distraction for Spoit and the rest of the gang to actually be going in on the windows and the breaches, and then it's just clear from there, right? Because you've got the clear numerical advantage. Outsiders don't really have an answer to this so far.
They know I've got some work to do because now they're into their off-site, right? You'd hope to be walking away with a win on Karaoke Tea Exhibition Office, and then maybe you see Barbecue and Kitchen as being a little bit dicey. But with how things have gone, it's the exact opposite. So they need a win here. Otherwise, I would not be surprised to see a tactical timeout come in and the boys have a serious conversation about how they find even a single round in this first half.
So we talk about Rogue and discipline and fun playstyles and going together and aggression. We're also going to see a Monty coming out from Leon Gids here, which indicates that they might be, instead of using the offset, I would imagine it's probably the same attack. Almost the same attack coming out from the point of view of Rogue. Deepek's going to be playing a similar role to what Leon was playing in the first round. Leon's going to swap the roles with Deepek, but instead of being the offset, he's going to be the Monty and walk himself in without having to place the shields. It's, once again, it's path of least resistance. It's very aggressive siege from Rogue. Now, Milon, he's on the pulse, which means he gets to give a little bit of information, might be able to find a complete freebie that Rogue might not be aware of. He's going to look for a pre-fire. He's going to actually miss his shots, and that's pretty unfortunate there. Kanto, being aware of that, will actually start looking for a challenge onto Milon now.
You've got to know here that challenge is always coming as well. Milan ain't quite done. He's coming back for round 2 and knows the man's just round the corner, but it's Kanto onto Pasha. Finally, that trade comes through, but it's from Smash. So Kanto there really has drawn the attention of 3 players on the side of Outsiders, and they've lost 2 for their trouble.
Yep, and that's the thing, is that Milon is now underneath on the pulse, but there's really not too much. As long as there's a flank drone, that pulse can be completely held. As we're seeing Leon Gids, he's not going to move into the Karaoke side this time. He's gone for T, and I think they've slipped completely past the defense here by doing the default execute that they previously did, tricking the 2 defenders into thinking that they've gone Karaoke, and actually they've just walked straight into T with Leon Gids.
Well, here we go. This is the big thing about playing the Monty. You gain so much control. Smokes off that black stairs, or sorry, red stairs focus, so he can turn his attention in towards Geisha. In he pushes and forces them out. So with 1:15 to go, they have forced most of the defenders off the top floor here. They've got the numbers advantage, and of course, I was going to say, playing a shield is like putting a muzzle on Leon, but the problem is he still manages to tear his way through. All of Rogue do, just dispatch of them so simply.
Yeah, and it was the same attack with a small adaptation. It was the same attack with a Monty coming out of Rogue. It was almost the same defense, but with an adaptation onto the Pulse for Outsiders. Now, Pulse obviously got very distracted with the take in from below with Spoit and Crine, and it would have been Kanto.
Seen them get, what, 5 kills across 3 rounds so far? It has been slow. Like, their resistance has been futile. They've just not really gained anything back on their side. Outside of a couple of kills in round 1 from FMX, we haven't seen that sharpness coming back the other way. Everything has been reacting to what Rogue are doing, and you can't take that away from Rogue. This is just the high-pressure gameplay they've established for themselves, and I look back to stage 3 when everyone was like, whoa, they're playing this crazy style where they'll jump in without a hard breach and all 5 will run at a doorway. I kind of feel they've kept that pressure and the essence of that playstyle, but really started to mold it in something that considers all the other finer aspects of Siege. Like, consistently, you're seeing vertical play being a thing. They'll always try and apply that pressure as a team to force defenders back, and it is really hard to slow them down.
Yeah, they've added a degree of discipline and a degree of finesse to it, in terms of it's not just completely raw, rushing, you know, every single round, crazy stuff. They've added a level of consistency that I think that's what makes Rogue the most impressive so far, is they've added that layer of consistency, and it's completely, you know, it's coming from that side. Now, Outsiders, what do? They've taken a tactical timeout. They've gone back to the office site again, which, you know, I'm not sure. I think maybe try one of the downstairs sites and force Rogue to, you know, come in the building and really take a much more map control. Because both of the top floor sites, you can go for a direct attack. Now, Rogue, I'm not sure if they're a little bit bored or they're just doing things a little bit different, trying out another one of their attacks. They feel very comfortable. They're actually going to come from the west side across. So we're going to see how Outsiders' defense actually stacks up to the west side across. Because if you remember back to the second round where Rogue attacked this, they went direct to site and went to breach site straight away. This time, obviously, they're going west across into Geisha, into, I've forgotten the name of the word, T, that side, and then breaching from there.
Well, what I'm thinking of here, this is exactly like round 7 of their game between Outsiders versus Secret. The lineup is identical, except for the fact Smash isn't playing a Malusi like he was back then. This time round, he's playing on the Warden. So they do fear that Ying And I just kind of worry at this point, you know, Rogue will recognize this. They'll have seen this lineup and go, we know exactly what the game plan here is. We've seen them play it before. Look at this wonderful cheeky angle as well for Kanto. That's working in your favor, it feels, rather than against you in that case. He can just hold this one and cut off any defenders that would be moving back. But halfway through the round, you can see these members of Outsiders are slowly being forced back by the members of Rogue. Spoit kind of spearheading the charge. 6-0 so far in the game as well, Fresh.
Yeah, they're feeling full of confidence. There's absolutely no reason why they needed to stray away from their previous attack, yet they're doing it anyway. And you see in that team play, there's a lot of work going across the board to clear out their west side. They've got to the middle of the map. They've got to that point that's like terrace, dragon area, and it's about how do they get through that and then poke from a different side. You see in Leon, therefore, he's going to go outside the breach of office and he's going to go to the single wall and try and open that. That creates two angles that the attack can come from. This will force Smash to move, and if done correctly, Smash will either move into Leon's crosshairs or somebody else's crosshairs. As it is, he drops down the staircase. So a little bit less of an engagement than I thought it would be, but it allows Rogue to move on and creep through that shrine area.
This is really interesting because Cryin and Spoit, with the nades that we've seen every single round so far, aren't playing on the downstairs. They're pushing laterally with the rest of the team and trying to force their way across from the west. So the focus here for Outsiders, where they've got a man playing downstairs to deny this up nade play, doesn't even matter. The kills have come running through, though. It's come down to a 2v2. No! Smash! That's not the kind of kill you want to find. It's not a Hulk kind of thing here. You got to be a bit more precise with this one, buddy. Kanto and Deepet, they've got one man to hunt down. And this feels like the kind of round where Outsiders were in with a chance here to get something on the board, but that team kill might have just thrown the whole thing away. Deepet's inside, going in for a plant, and there is no one around to stop him. Smash has got a C4 in back pocket. Will he find the man in time? Surely throws the shot at Skywards here. Yes, he does. Won't find the man and will not prevent the diffuser going down. He's got a real hard one to try and ball back here, Fresh.
Yeah, there's basically nothing he can do here. You would expect that Deepek and Kanto will be holding necessary crossfires, even get themselves out the building if they can. Obviously, they don't have that main office breach, so they've got to be too careful how far away they go. Smash is going to look for any engagement that he can find. He has no information. Now knows that there's one near the window, but it will be Kanto from the reverse angle. Even there, a perfect crossfire. As soon as Deepek took any bullets, Kanto was swinging out. And a great round by Rogue. And I've got to say this, Des, because I cast onto Outsiders the last Playday. I cast them against Na'Vi. And they committed 2 team kills. And in this game, they've committed 1 team kill so far. So in about 9 rounds, 11, 12, 13 rounds, they've committed 3 team kills. And I think I'm the unlucky person. I think I'm the consistent there.
I think Corey is just sat somewhere just crying tears of joy that his legacy continues here in EUL. Absolutely ecstatic, no doubt.
Outsiders really do seem to lose composure. They seem to lose a lot of that composure in those key scenarios. When Outsiders team killed, it was in as the chaos was going on against Na'Vi. And it's the same in that situation against Rogue, where people are coming from all sides, from Rogue's point of view, to the Outsiders, and Smash is therefore just... I think he got a kill, ran outside and ran back in and just flicked the first thing he saw. Now, hit an unreal shot, don't get me wrong. It's just it was onto a teammate.
It's one of those things. I remember, like, the very first event I worked was like DreamHack Valencia back in 2019. And I think we saw a good number of TKs like that. I think it was Kendra who was just holding. It was on console, holding yellow stairs. So one of his teammates ran past into his left just through his crosshair and he shot him. And it was like, well, why did that happen? He explained afterwards, look, you're so focused on that 1 pixel changing color in case someone's head just peeks around the corner.
You flick it.
That, you get even the smallest hint that there is something there you got to kill, you will kill it. And it's just it's showing how fine-tuned their reactions are, that it doesn't even take conscious thought to do that. It is unfortunate. It does, I'm not going to say cost them the round, but it definitely heavily reduces any chance they win that 1 versus 2 or 2 versus 2. And either way you look at it, Rogue, even after the timeout from Outsiders, are still up 4-0.
Yep, and we're going back to Karaoke T. Outsiders seem so reluctant to go onto either of the downstairs sites that despite losing Karaoke T convincingly twice, they're going back there again. Now Rogue, changing up the attack again. This time it's not with a Monty. This time it's with an Ossa. Get established in below in terms of working those vertical nades once again. That establishment has come between Kanto, Cryin and Spoit. You can see them there, the little triangle of the 3 players. They're in below, which means those up nades will be working. That's where they're all on nade operators. And then it is Deepek and Leon's job to start working breaches, to start working the top stairs, to start working on that map control in and around site. As I say, Rogue, they're not going for a lot of map control.
I would love
you see Leon there? He's gone for the breach, now onto the window.
I'd love to see him against a team that actively looks to contest them on the vertical nade play, right? Because it's a staple. Outside of 1 round of the 5 we've seen so far, Rogue have looked to work below before they even start thinking about the site. Yet teams seem almost afraid to challenge them too heavily in case they rush site. And to be fair to Rogue, that does sound like the kind of thing they do. If they see your 2 or 3 players off site, they'll just say, guys, forget about it. 4 of us site now, let's go. This focus at least looks a little bit more normal. That downstairs play coming through here as well. Kanto looking to get some pressure up through main stairs, not quite realizing there was a magnet holding close. Not sure if that got rid of the barbed wire that was present on the stairs, but either way, just like back in round 1, it's Leon bringing down Milan to start, straight into a second onto Smash.
Yeah, the Goyo will come in, and this round is potentially done. The Goyo canister will be the only thing that holds them off. Rask's managed to find one, but realistically, they've now got one working from the other side that's completely taken Rask's focus away, and a 3v1 ensuing on site. I think wisely so, Kanto's actually going to back away from going on that flank and just push with the main push, because Rask, he's very worried about the presence of Kanto over on that side.
Yeah, Kanto, I think, was doubling back on himself a little bit there. A push up main stairs could have potentially contributed to a really good play there, with 2 of them now working to work up black stairs as well. Rask clearly not quite sure where the threat is going to come from here. Is it coming from the house side of the map, or are they all starting to group up? And the answer, as we know with this wonderful top-down view, is they're starting to group up. We'll find Leon on his push through, trying to look for the second man here with the impact nades as well. Not quite to be found. Rask down to a slither of HP, and in they come. It's an easy couple of kills. Deepek and Kanto find their men. They're up 5-0 fresh. And the big question I think everyone's going to have on their lips as this game carries on, can anyone in EUL stop them?
Do you know what? I'm really intrigued about the way that they will come up against Heroic and Wolves. And I say that because I think those 3 teams are head and shoulders clear of the rest of the league at the minute. And I think the problem that we're currently seeing in terms of gameplay is that the team play on those 3 teams, on Rogue, on Outsiders, on Heroic, is coming to fruition, and it's usually the differentiating factor. The big differentiating factor in this game is not strategy. It is completely that Rogue are suffocating Outsiders by playing together and being very considered in their aggression, very targeted, specific aggression. Now, Rogue stylistically match up differently against Wolves and against Heroic, and that's why I want to see if anybody can stop them, because I think those 2 teams have the team play capable of going head-to-head with Rogue, but stylistically and strategically, that's where they are slightly different.
Well, I don't want to say a team has given up at any point, Fresh, but seeing Outsiders step down here into bedroom and bathroom feels like they've given up. I mean, at this point, I don't blame them. You can't win karaoke or exhibition. You've tried both twice. You tried barbecue and kitchen. That was the most decisive win for Rogue so far. So throw caution to the wind, go to a site that you know Rogue haven't seen before and maybe aren't as prepared for, and go for bedroom and bathroom. It sounds like madness, but to me might actually just be the most viable strategy for them right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what do you do? Rogue are just so considered and such a good operating unit that you can't stop. It doesn't matter. Whichever ground they want, it doesn't matter where the site is, they're going to take it. And realistically for Outsiders, the one thing that they did exhibit against Secret that they're not showing in this game is that early aggression, jumping out of the windows, really going for those entry kills and trying to isolate the 1v1s. That could work against Rogue, I'm not sure it would, but that's the way to get rid of their network. Deepek finds the first opening kill onto Smash with that aggression finally in round 6, and even that has been punished by Rogue.
I think back to when Rogue played, I forget who it was against on Chalet, but it was a very similar story. In fact, it was Eminem, I want to say, where every single time you had someone trying to spawn peak exploit, he'd just win. He would just know. And the thing is, they are so good against that early aggression. It's like, okay, you can try and make it work, but you are basically just burying yourself an extra 2 minutes early into the round rather than giving yourself a somewhat hectic chance later into the round like we saw back in round 4. But as things start, no surprise at all, we've got Rogue starting to work in on the downstairs. Cryin having a pretty quiet game here because his teammates are just running away with this one. And when he's been dropping 20 kills a game, 15 kills a game, this is a slightly more quiet performance. In comes Spoit finding a second, and this is even before we've hit the halfway mark of the round fresh.
Yeah, and that's vertical control established. If Rogue want it, it looks like they're going to go horizontally and pick up the pace. At this game, I feel like the competitiveness of this game is done. I feel like Rogue will win. The big question on my mind is whether this is a 7-0 or not now, and whether Rogue can keep their concentration to make it a 7-0, because that would be an absolute statement so far.
The wonderful thing is, I know a lot of us have been, not all of us, but a good few of us have been critical of a number of teams in EU as of late. The thing is in this game is it feels like it's all praise on towards Rogue as well. Like Outsiders, damned if you do, damned if you don't. They've tried every single site. They've tried a little bit of early aggression like we've seen in this round. They've been shut down. They've tried playing more around site.
Yeah.
They've been softened up with nades and then pushed in by a collective. It's really hard to predict what attackers are going to do. When Leon, for example, is moving away from karaoke window off towards office balcony, it's just an ever-changing dynamic team with a lot of pressure that you simply struggle to find the answer to.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Rogue have had the answers, and Outsiders have tried adaptations. They've tried different things. I'm repeating a little bit what you say, but it's worth stressing that point. Outsiders destroyed Secret on this map, and Rogue are currently destroying Outsiders. Outsiders are no slouches on this map. This is their fair preference map. They always leave this map unbanned. They really like it, so it's a testament to what Rogue are doing.
Absolutely. Well, at this point, we're down to the last 15 seconds, so it might be a bit of a mad crush coming in here from Rogue, as Crying maybe looking for the backstab here, coming out towards Pantry side, but they've got to make their move now. Great shot coming out from Milon as Deepek elsewhere gets one, finds two, make it three for himself as Crying collects that last one on the flank. A very convincing half by Rogue. They go 6-0.
It's an absolute privilege. Seriously, I believe this. It is an absolute privilege watching this Rogue team attack. And
it's satisfying, right?
Yeah, I'm glad that I can be excited about a team, because this team feels like a team that will go to the major. Now, I know that people are going to talk about statistics and this, that, and everything else. Oh, Rogue won't Rogue are going to the major. They will. When they go to the major, I am excited to see how this team stacks up internationally. And this is a team that you could start getting behind to, not win the major. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, completely oblivious, but to actually have a good go at getting far in the major, because they play so well together, and teams are genuinely scared of them. And that 6-0 attack onto Skyscraper against a team that's good at Skyscraper on what is considered a defender-sided map on Skyscraper is absolutely no surprise. Now, getting into this round and getting into the specifics of it, obviously it's 6-0 up, but it looks like Rogue were kind of the inventors of this delay strat from the east to west on the Karaoke T. And they use Goyo to delay significantly. And I think this is an excellent choice of operator against this Outsiders team. Like I say, for Outsiders, they like to take very little map control. So the way Outsiders attacked this against Secret is they took control of Office. They took control of Drum. And then they took control of Geisha, and basically nothing else until the defenders threw themselves at them. So for Rogue, now they're 6-0 up, but what I want to see from them, and the test of if they're truly a great team or not, is if they can still play with the discipline to really use their win condition against Outsiders, which is time. And for Rogue, the win condition isn't usually time, so it's about testing that for them.
I doubt they're too worried, to be honest with you, at this point. Fresh Outsiders have got 11 kills across 6 rounds. That's less than 2 per round on average. That's just how dominant this has been by Rogue throughout the game so far. And if you're looking at this and thinking, well, why the hell are they playing Kali? They used Kali a lot last time they played here as well. In fact, looking back at their attacks and they were playing in against Secret, I believe in all but one round they had the Kali on side. That was in round 3. They chose to bring us Twitch instead. This time round, I do have a small question, though. Thatcher is available. Why not play that? Spoit comes in with the entry. Down goes Pasha.
And look at this discipline. This is what I wanted to see from Rogue. It would be so easy for that ranked player, and I'm putting quotation marks up, you can't see me, but that player that everyone thinks that Spoit is, that's just going to peek everything. Sure, he stayed, he peeked, he got his kill, but he's also had the discipline to fall back. Now that second layer is activated. Allow Outsiders the space, get back to the second layer, that second layer of redundancy, test that, see if you can get another kill, and then fall back to site.
It's the beautiful thing, right? And I think about Sandbox, who did this a lot back in Stage 1 in APAC North as well. They use Mute an awful lot on these drones to kind of block drones coming through. They'll have 2 players out towards Exhibition side. They try and get a kill. They'll drop away by about 45 seconds. It's very much having a plan, right, on when to step back. Rogue, as you said, showing it wonderfully so far. Now trying to get their second wall opened up and push their way into Geisha at this point, where they will be greeted by a player or 2. 1 across on red stairs, 1 inside of Geisha itself. So cool, boys. You've taken 2 minutes to get a wall open. Now you got to start dealing with the real problems.
Yeah, and I love that adaptation from Rogue. They clearly watched the game against Secret and decided to play with the Geisha internal wall closed, which meant that the Outsiders players could not rotate from where Rask is now into Geisha. It means that they've fragmented and segmented the attack into 2 distinct parts. Now, Deepek, he's got to play this very conservatively and just play in this position, give his life and value the time. Does actually swing out and find another kill. But once again, giving up Geisha control, move back to site.
It's just beautiful. I mean, he's 9-0 today as well. He's having an absolute field day when he's kind of steps into a more quiet role. He is absolutely flying. All of Rogue are, it feels. I know I said Crime's been quiet, but again, when your whole team is flying this high, what do? FMX on a spray through the wall finds Deepek before Spoit collects his second in the round. Now he gets traded out, and FMX starting to warm up a little bit in this round. Hasn't had a kill since round 1 when he found that 2K, yet here has found himself a couple. Still 3 remaining, though, on the side of Rogue. They've got more stall. There's 15 seconds to go. They don't know about Crying on main stairs. GG too early in the chat. I ain't saying it. It was already said after round 3, it feels like. Milan left to fend off against 2, but he simply can't do it. Rogue showing they deserve that major spot that is well on its way with a dominant 7-0 victory.
They controlled every single aspect of this game from here on out. The viewers were the viewers, we were the commentators, but it also feels like outsiders were the viewers inside of that game. Rogue just putting on an absolute masterclass.